know when I'm live. Ready? Okay. All right. Go ahead. All right. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We say shalom, shalom. Welcome everybody to the House of Yah CAC. We ask you to come on in and just kind of spend some time with us as we go into Torah. This is our night for Torah teaching every fourth day of the week. This is our day for Torah teaching. Some people think it's the third day. It's not the third day of the week. It's actually the fourth day of the week, because the last day of the week is the Shabbat. It's the only name that Yasharel named of the 7 days. They counted Yom 1, Yom 2, all the way to Yom 6, and then it was the Shabbat. It was the day of rest. So this is Yom 4. And so we invite everybody to come on in, and let's feast on the word of Yah on tonight. We've been talking about in some of our Bible classes. We've been in our Torah studies. We've been teaching on Shaul's teachings and how Shaul taught Torah. He actually taught Torah to build the kingdom. And if you're trying to build a kingdom without Torah, then you're doing it in error. You're doing it in error, and some people might not realize that they're actually doing it in error. But it does require Torah, because we've seen it in Acts 28 and verse number 23, right? And we see that there in Acts 28 and 23, where he said, if we can get that up there. And when they had appointed him a day, there came many to him into his lodging, to whom he expounded and testified the kingdom of Elohim, persuading them concerning Yahusha, both out of the law of Moshe and out of the prophets, from morning till evening. So this is what Shaul used. He used the law of Moshe, and they call him Moses. He used the law of Moses, the law of Moshe. We should be able to go into what Moshe taught the nation of Israel, the nation of Yasharel. We should be able to go into his teachings and build the kingdom. We should be able to go into the prophets, and build the kingdom. And that's what he did. He used Torah, and Torah is something that's not being really built up today. It's not something that's really being taught today. People are more into teaching, starting their teaching with the book of Matthew and going to Revelation. And if that's the whole base of your teaching, and you don't have anything else, and you're absent of Torah, then you're going to take a lot of the writings of Shaul and you're going to wrestle them to your own destruction. And that's what Kepha was saying in 2 Kepha chapter number, if we can get 2 Kepha chapter number 3, was it verse number 15? What did he say there? An account that the long suffering of our Adonai is salvation. The long suffering of our Adonai is deliverance. That's where our rescue is going to be. In fact, Kepha says if we don't suffer with him, we're not going to what? We're not going to reign with him. So there is an amount of suffering that we have to go through if we're walking in the steps of Yahusha. If I'm walking in his footsteps, then there's going to be some suffering that is going to be in the way, on the pathway. You following the way. There is going to be some suffering, and so when we don't like to embrace it, we have to understand that this is where my where my strength is, and this is how I'm going to reign with him, is through the fact that I have to suffer with him. So the long suffering of our Adonai is our rescue. It is our deliverance. Even as our beloved brother Shaul also, according to the wisdom given unto him, hath written unto you. The wisdom given unto Shaul, he's written unto you, as also in all his epistles, speaking in them of things in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable wrest, as they do also the other scriptures, unto their own destruction. So if you are unlearned in Torah and you're unstable in Torah, then you'll take all of Shaul's writings, and especially some people begin in the book of Acts, which is, all Torah is good. Some people begin in the book of Acts, but if you begin in the book of Acts, there's so much you've missed already. If you begin in the book of Matthew, you done missed the whole setup to Matthew. We can't disregard any of Moses' laws, the teachings that he did, nor the prophets. So those who were unlearned and unstable, they wrestled with Shaul's epistles. They wrestled with his epistles because if you read Shaul's epistles and that turns you against Torah, and I don't want to hear no Torah. Don't teach me no Torah and law of Moses. Don't teach me the prophets. I don't want to hear that. If that's your mindset, then this is going to be that's going to be your destruction. They wrestle it unto their own destruction because they can't figure out how do you connect Shaul with Torah? How do you connect Shaul with Torah? Because for a lot of people, Shaul stands alone. A lot of people tell you, all I need is the book of Romans. That's all I need, the Roman road. So they follow the Roman road, and they think that all they got to do, because it says in the 10th chapter, because we pulled that up, all those who call upon the name of Yahuwah shall be saved. And what Shaul was bringing out was in Joel chapter number 2. That's what he said in Joel chapter 2, because the day is coming where you're going to have to call on his name. You're going to have to call on his name. And if you don't know his name, and a lot of people don't know his name, and I was thinking today as I was reading through Torah and just kind of studying, I was thinking today, and there was so much, you open up the book and there's just so much you can read. I mean, you can start at Genesis, you can just go through, Deuteronomy is one of I'm really liking the book of Deuteronomy right now. The prophets, and you can go through all of that. It's like, okay, where do I begin? But what was in my ruach was how if we're looking at this book, if we look at this book from a English mindset, if we look at this book from an English mindset without understanding the people who spoke the language or their culture, if my whole study does not take in or embrace what this was written in, then there's going to be some things I'm going to miss out. You're just going to miss out on some things. You're going to miss out on some details. You're going to miss some things that could cause you to miss out on eternal life. It actually could cause you to miss out on eternal life. So I was thinking because we don't have to go there, but it was on my mind as I was studying. It was in the 19th chapter of Yahuchanan, where it says that when they had crucified him, Pilate had put on the cross, on the stake that he was hung on, he had put the sign up there, and he wrote it. He had it written in Hebrew, in Greek, and in Latin. And that's what it says in Yahuchanan 19. So the people who wrote the book and the people and the language that Yahusha spoke in was a Hebrew language. So that was represented in that day. It was the Hebrew. The people spoke Hebrew. Even when Shaul came on the scene, and you'll see this in the 22nd chapter of Acts, when he approached the people to speak to the people, he spoke in the Hebrew language because they wouldn't listen to him in the Greek. That's in our book. That's in our book. So he spoke to them in Hebrew because he was speaking to Hebrew people. The language that they spoke was a Hebrew language. And then some people say, well, maybe it might have been Hebrew, but it's probably an Aramaic dialect. And no, it doesn't. Arabia is in the Bible. It doesn't say Aramaic. Well, that's what the common language was because they were under captivity at that time. Yeah, but the people that they were under captivity of spoke Greek and Latin, huh? Yeah, they spoke Greek and Latin. That's who they were subjected to. There was an Assyrian empire that they had ran into captivity with, of course. And there was an Aramaic tongue, but they spoke the Hebrew language and the Hebrew dialect. I was thinking about that on today because in your study of the scriptures and you're studying the writings, if you don't take into account, now, nobody spoke English back in that day. Nobody spoke English. And you'd be surprised how many people you talk to now that'll tell you they still said Jesus. And it's like, well, okay, I got to try to be sensitive to them because you don't want to just tell somebody, well, you're just ignorant, I mean, you don't want to just come right out and say that. And ignorance doesn't mean you don't have any intelligence. No, that's not what ignorant. You could be highly intelligent but ignorant to a fact. And you're ignorant to that. So you have people that you talk to and witness to, and they can be very skilled in a lot of things in the Torah, but they're ignorant of the fact that there was no J. Nobody called him Jesus. Nobody. Absolutely none. Absolutely none. In fact, and I was also considering the fact that everything that we have now is a translation. It is a translation. They spoke Hebrew. The people they were in captivity with spoke Greek, and they spoke Latin. The Roman Empire spoke Latin. There was other people who spoke Greek because they were in the Greek captivity before the Latin captivity. At this day and time, Koine Greek was a high sophisticated language. It was a language of trade, but it was for those who were what you would say, they were gifted, they were sophisticated, they had the ability to be multilingual, and they were skilled. Koine Greek is a skilled Greek language. It's, like some people look at, when I speak English and you got people over in England, they speak proper English. We speak another form of English because the way we talk a lot of times don't even sound like the way they talk. They have proper English. So our English is not really proper English. They have the proper English because that's where it came from. And so a lot of our words sounds a little different from proper English. Well, if you could just look at that example and go back to that day, Koine Greek was like proper English. That was where, the Greek came from. Then you had another form of Greek, was more of a lazy or slower dialect of Greek. But if you wanted to speak proper Greek, you would speak Koine Greek. Well, where they translated the Koine Greek into the Latin Vulgate, you have to understand that the people who wrote this book, they didn't speak Koine Greek. They didn't speak Latin. None of them that day spoke Latin. The people that this book was given to and who wrote this book. And so what has happened, even when you get to English, you're talking about the 17th century now. 1,700 years from the time that our Messiah passed, where they crucified him, and he rose on the third day. 1,700 years later, it comes in English. Now, if you can't understand that and you're trying to share some things about the culture and the language and everything to people nowadays, and they have no patience, and they say, I don't care, it doesn't matter, they still called him Jesus. No, they didn't. But, when you are approached with people like that, you have to look over their ignorance. You just have to look over their ignorance, and sometimes I say, I just pity them. Okay, all right, bro. I mean, you just don't have basic knowledge. And there's we don't have sophistication, educational sophistication in the pulpit. We don't have a lot of that. We don't have a lot of that. Now, does it matter? Do you need to have that? You need to have that if you're going to teach. If you're going to teach a Hebrew book to Hebrew people, yeah, you got to understand that. You got to understand that. Because there's some things that you really miss out on if you're just totally forget that. And if your understanding of this book only comes through the teaching of the latest translation, and the ones that you're learning it from are from those who are the ones who has the most recent translation, which is in English. So the ones who are teaching me are English that only know English. Well, you're going to miss a lot. You're just going to miss a lot. And a lot of people say, well, all I want to do is be saved. All I want to do is be saved. Well, ain't nobody saved yet. Nobody's saved yet. Now, you can say, well, I want my sins forgiven. I want to be washed of my sins. I want to be cleansed of my sins. That's different. You're talking two different things when you say, I want my sins forgiven. I want my sins covered. Because we see that even in Psalms 32. If you look at Psalms 32, can we put that up here real quick? This is kind of like a sidebar. It's not really on my list. But real quick, Psalms 32, when King Daud said, Psalms 32, verse 1, blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is. Blessed is the man unto whom Yahuwah imputeth not iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no guile. That's saying one thing. To be saved is saying something different when you understand it from the Hebraic perspective. Because this is what we all want. When we say, I'm saved, what you're saying is this, I'm covered. He's forgiven me of my sins. He's cleansing me of my sins. He's not imputing, he's not charging the iniquity on me. That's what I want. That's what I want. But to be saved now we're talking about something different. But it's not broken down like that because many of us cannot even digest that. We can't take that. We can't see I don't see no difference. We read scripture. We read Torah, and you don't see no. So when you say you're saved, then let's go to Luke 1 and verse number 69. When you say you're saved, this is what you're talking about. Luke 1:69. And he hath raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant Daud, and he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. So when somebody says, I'm saved, this is what Torah teaches as saved, because he said, I'm going to save Israel. I'm going to save Israel from their enemies and all those that hate them. That day is coming. That day is coming. You still have a lot of people who hate Yasharel. They hate Yasharel. They persecute Yasharel, even to this day. They kill him for no reason, even to this day. Even to this day, Yasharel has not been saved from their enemies. Because when Yasharel, notice now, he sent him to it tells you where he sent him to, and there's other scriptures to prove where he sent him to, because he's going to save his people. So Matthew 24:13, he says, he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So we got to make it all the way to the end. All the way to the end. Because you have people who are living now, whose ancestors are the ones back in the day when Yahusha was given. Those people's children's and generations and posterity, is that the right word? posterity, is still here today. They're still here today. The ones that are being, they're the least desired ones. Nobody wants to be like them. Nobody wants to be that people. They're scattered. They're being afflicted. They're in captivity. How do I know they're in captivity? Because it says when he comes, he's going to free them from captivity. So if you're not in captivity, this is not talking about you. So we have to understand, what is he talking about? Who is he talking to? What is the message to the particular audience that he's talking to? Because when people say, well, this book is a universal book given to the world, that's not true. That's not true. That's not a true statement. This is a Hebrew book given to a Hebrew people about a Hebrew Messiah that's going to come back and save his people. He's going to do it because we can go back to Luke, because he says he's got to perform the oath that he gave to Abraham. We're not done yet. We're not done. We have to get there. So there's a difference from being saved and, like we read in Psalms 32, I want my sins. I don't know about y'all. I want my sins forgiven. I do. I want my sins to be covered by the blood of Yahusha, because I know I have to stand and face him one day. And I have to give an account in this body. So I want to be cleansed. I know that through his death and the blood that he shed, it washed and cleansed. Give me Yahuchanan chapter 11 and verse number 49. Yahuchanan 11:49. And one of them named Caiaphas, help me, somebody, being the high priest that same year, and said unto them, ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself. Notice now, the whole nation, talking about Yasharel. This he spake not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahusha should die for that nation. Very specific. And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of Elohim that were scattered abroad. So he's going to bring them all back. He's going to bring them all back, because it was prophesied that he was going to save his people from their enemies and all those that hate them. So we have to, when we look at this book and we think it's a universal book and it's given to everybody, that doctrine comes from Rome. It comes from Rome, because Rome would tell you that they replace Yasharel. Oh yeah, they'll tell you, oh, this whole book is about the Roman church. This whole book is about the Roman religion. That's what they try to tell you. The whole book is about the Roman. When he's talking about Yasharel with Moses and the prophets, he's talking about the Roman Catholic construct of Christianity. And it's nothing but a lie. If anybody says that the Roman religion replaced the nation of Yasharel, it's an outright lie. That's not true. That's not true. Now, because I know some people say, well, Israel ain't the only one that could be saved. No, he prophesied that Gentiles will come into the light and that Gentiles will be brought into Yasharel. He prophesied that. But when we misrepresent Yah, that's when you get in trouble. When you misrepresent Yah. Isaiah 55 and Isaiah 55, verse number 8. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith Yahuwah. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So anybody that wants to tell you something different than what this book teaches and then try to tell you about your Yah. Oh, you ain't go, you can't. I'm sorry, y'all, but can't no heathen tell me about my Yah. Not that's right, not especially since he opened up my understanding. He's opened up my understanding. And you're going to try to tell me about my Yah? I don't think so. Now, you can have other people. There's other people don't run. I mean, I don't believe Hazlett. Well, that's fine. That's you. I'm going by Torah. I'm going by Torah. Because everything I say, I want to bring out Torah. So far tonight, only thing I want to say is I want to bring out Torah. Because then well, that's Hazlett. No, that's Torah. All you got to do is just go to a book and read it yourself. Because back in 2016, when he was opening my understanding, woke me up, I told Most High Yah, I cannot teach that. I told him that. I said, I can't teach that. I just can't. And I was reading and studying, and I was reading Isaiah, Yashayahu, because that's one of my favorite prophets. So I was reading Yashayahu. I was reading Isaiah, 34th chapter, verse 16. He said, open up the book and read. Okay. I mean, that's how the Ruach spoke to me as I was just laid it right out. Hey, he said, seek ye out the book of Yah and read it. Oh, is that simple? Yeah, it's that simple. Just open up the book and read it. And then let them decide what they want to do. But you got to teach Torah. You got to teach the prophets, and then let people decide. Notice what he says. For as the rain cometh down and the snow from Shamaim and returneth not thither, but watereth the earth and maketh it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. So Yah speaks it out of his mouth, but his creation says, no, you don't have to do that. So Yah speaks it out of his mouth, but some man says, well, that's not what Yah said. Well, wait a minute. I just opened up the book and I just read it. Are you telling me Yah didn't say this? Well, he said that, but I don't agree with it. Well, if you don't agree with that, that's you, but don't tell me Yah didn't say it. You can't tell me Yah didn't say that. I know. Even when I read Shaul's letters and I read the Gospels and everything, when they say, as it is written, don't you know I'm going back to study the whole context of how it's written? Oh, yeah. Because if Yah speaks it and it goes out of his mouth, it shall not return unto him void. No man or woman can take the words that he speaks out of his mouth and then say, that is not so. Well, you take that up with my Father. We'll see who's so and who's not. Because he says, my word ain't going to return unto me. Do you know everything that he said to the prophets is not going back to him void? Oh, so when he said, oh, I'm sending my son to redeem you and to bring you back unto me. And then somebody says, well, that ain't right. What? It came out of his mouth. What do you mean that ain't so? It is so. It's not going to go back to him void. He has a plan. Yah has a plan for nation, for his people, for nation. What was the original plan for Yasharel when he had Abraham, Yishak, Jacob, and he made a nation? What was the purpose of the nation of Yasharel? Be a light to the world, and what else? Huh? To be a model? To be a priesthood. A priesthood for who? For other nations. He chose them to be a priesthood for all these other nations. You represent me, These nations has to come through you to get to me. Y'all don't know, that's what a priest was. You couldn't butcher up your sacrifice and offer it up. That was illegal. Yeah, like Saul, you get cut off. You get cut off because he has an order of doing things. So you bring it to the priest, and the priest did the oblations, the sacrifice, and everything like that. Yasharel was supposed to be a priesthood, a royal priest, a nation of priests for all these other nations. And he lists those nations in Genesis chapter 10. And he says, but Yasharel's mine. I'm choosing Yaakov. I'm choosing them. That's going to be my priesthood for all these other nations. It doesn't mean there ain't going to be no other nations. It just means Yasharel was made to be the priest for all these other nations. That's why Yahusha says, ye worship you know not what. We know we worship for salvation is coming through the Yahudim. This is my priesthood. This is where you got to come through. It will not return to me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. That's why when I read Torah, I say yea and amen. Yea and amen. He got a plan for me. I'm like King Daud in Psalms 32, and I'm blessed. Oh, we're Baruch. Blessed is the one whose transgressions are what? Forgiven. Isn't that what he said? We better read that again. Psalms 32, verse number 1 and verse number 2. We better read that again, because that ought to get some excitement. Baruch is he whose transgressions is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Baruch is the man unto whom Yahuwah imputeth not iniquity, and in whose spirit, in whose ruach, there's no guile. Now, who was the first one? Who was the first fruit? Yahusha. He was the first fruit. And even Kepha, wasn't it Kepha that said, how did he put that? We should follow in his footsteps. Remember when Kepha said that? We should follow in his footsteps, who knew no sin, neither was any guile found in his mouth. That's Baruch. That's Baruch. So this is what we, when we say we get born again, this is what we're saying. I've been born again. I've got a new nature now. I've been forgiven of my transgressions and my sins. Actually, to be completely thorough, this day is a day that's coming. Because right now, like Yahusha said, this is my blood of the renewed covenant. This is my blood of the new. And what's that blood going to do? When we apply his blood to our life, that blood does what? It puts sin in remission, which means it stops you from sinning. But if you notice now, somebody that is a cancer victim, they try to put that cancer in remission. It's not removed 100% from the body. It could come back, right? Or it could, what is that called? It could metastasize, right? It could metastasize. It's just inactive. But it's there, but it's inactive. Well, that's how we have a human body. We know sin is present. That's why Shaul says, when I would do good, evil's right there with me. It's still, he says, therefore I learned there's a new law. Shaul says, I learned a new law. There's a law of sin that is in my members and is trying to bring me in subjection. But he says, I'm not going to do it. I'm not giving in to my flesh. I got to put, sin must be in remission in our bodies. until we get that new body. Because right now, all of us, even though we've been born again of water and spirit, all of us can sin. If you don't think you can't sin, the devil going to get you if he ain't got you already. Because Yahuchanan says, everyone who says they haven't lied, you just lied. Right? Because he says everybody who said they have not sinned is a liar, and the truth is not in them. So it's not that I don't know sin or I cannot sin. It's in remission. It's in remission, especially when you know something is sin and iniquity. Oh, I can't do that. I just can't do it. I know it's wrong. Because you have to be careful, because if you know that it's wrong and you know it's sin and you do it anyway, and then you don't even blush about it and you have no feelings about it, then your conscience has been seared. Because if you still have a conscience when you sin, when I kept silent, my bones waxed old through my roaring all the day long. Notice what he says. I acknowledge my sin unto thee, and my iniquity have I not hid. I said, I will confess my transgressions unto Yahuwah, and thou forgavest the iniquity of my sin. Like he says, his bones just kind of waxed old, and he just roared out all day. If your conscience is not seared, if you sin, there should be some condemnation. There's some folks, I can't go up in there. They can't come up in here. And I respect that. When some folks say, I can't come up in there. Because they fit that condemnation. Oh, man, that condemnation. The ones that I question is, you can sin, then come on up in here and just act like nothing happened. Those are the ones you got to watch out for. Because if you come up in here and your spirit is broken and you're crying, well, that's what this is for. Get right. Get right with Yahusha. Get right with him. You ought to be glad he's plaguing your conscience. You ought to be glad your conscience ain't resting. It's roaring all day long. I couldn't sleep at all last night. It just plagued me all night long. I got to get to the house of Yah. And then he even says, I acknowledge my sin unto thee. So it's not that I'm not capable of sinning. It's that I don't want to sin. When I see a trap or something, back up. Because he tells us don't make no provision for the flesh. To fulfill what? The lust thereof. So I can't give in to that. I know that within my body, I know that there's lust, but I don't give in to that. I don't give in to it. Now, some of us is just getting too old to lust. Right? But it's not that your flesh can't sin. It's just like, come on, devil, you got to come up with a new trick, man. Because that ain't working, man. You might just keep on stepping with that, because that ain't working. So that sin is in remission. And then when he takes it all away and casts it into the sea of forgetfulness, and you'll get a new body. You won't have to worry about sin ever again. We have to get through this test now. We got to get through this period now. So he said in Isaiah, thy word has gone out from me. It will not return unto me void. Let me have Romans chapter 3, verse 1. Romans 3, verse 1. What advantage then have the Yehudi or what profit is there of circumcision? Talking about Yasharel. Much every way, chiefly because that unto them, notice now, he says a Yehudi as one, right? But then them. So, because it wasn't, oracles wasn't given unto one person, it was given unto a nation. Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of Elohim. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of Elohim without effect? Yah forbid. Yea, let Yah be true, but every man a liar. As it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings and mightest overcome when thou art judged. Let Yah be true and every man a liar. I don't believe what he's saying about Yasharel, about Yahusha, about Hebrew, Greek, Latin. I don't believe none of that. Is that going to change this book? Is it going to change the faith of Yah? It ain't going to change him at all. Because his word has gone out. You can't void it. It ain't coming back to him void. It's going to accomplish everything it's set out to do. So when Yah speaks and Yah says one thing, that's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. When we look at Torah and Yahusha and this whole book through the lens of heathens and a people that it was not given to, then I shouldn't say but people's understanding and people's outlook on the future is distorted. It's skewed. And to some people, they can miss the whole thing. To some people, they can miss the whole thing. In the 15th chapter of Acts, Acts 15, and verse number, verse number 11, let's see. I'm going to read verse 12. But we believe that through the grace of Adonai Yahushua Mashiach, we shall be saved even as they. Then all the multitude kept silence. Notice now, if anybody knows Acts 15, this is a chapter where they had a dispute because they went to the council in Jerusalem, right? And anybody know why they were going to the council in Jerusalem? There was several things they wanted to address, but the main thing that they wanted to address when they went to the council in Jerusalem, and Jacob, Yahusha's brother, Jacob was the overseer of Jerusalem. Now, Kepha had his own office that he had to fill, but when it comes to what we call council chairmen or the bishop of, those are terms that we understand, but he was the overseer of Jerusalem and the whole council in Jerusalem. What was the major dispute? Anybody know background of this? No, not circumcision. Well, circumcision, they probably brought that up, yeah, because in Galatians, but that's it. That's it. So there was a debate over, because Shaul, well, before we go here, let's go to Acts 9. Look at Acts 9 and about verse number 22. Let's see, somewhere around there. Okay, let's go up. Let's go up. Up, the other way. Up, the other way. Up, keep going. So I want to get his, maybe it's about verse 15 or somewhere. Okay, right here. But Yahusha said unto him, Go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Yasharel. for I will show him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake. So Shaul was a chosen vessel. This was on the road to Damascus when he got struck down. He was a chosen vessel, and he was supposed to go to the Gentiles and to kings and to Yasharel, all of them. So let's go up. Let's go up when he first got struck down, and he said, okay. There's another place, but let's go to Acts 15 and verse number 12. Then all the multitude kept silence and gave audience unto Barnabas and Shaul, declaring what miracles and wonders Elohim had wrought among the Gentiles by them. And after they had held their peace, Jacob, who was the head of the council there, this is Yahusha's brother, answered, saying, Men and brethren, hearken unto me. Simeon, or Kepha, this is Kepha, had declared how Elohim at the first did visit the Gentiles to take out of them a people for his name. Right? Why did he say Kepha here? Why did he say Kepha is going to take out? Why Kepha? He was given the keys. Yahusha gave him the keys. Yahusha gave him the keys. And so even in the 10th chapter of Acts, he told Kepha, because Kepha, for about 6 years, history tells us, historian says, by the time you get to the 10th chapter and Kepha had his vision, that was about 6 years after the resurrection. Because in Luke and also in Acts chapter 1 and Luke number 24, he said that they were supposed to go unto Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and uttermost parts of the earth, of the world. Yeah, uttermost parts of the world, earth. But Kepha didn't leave Jerusalem. He was still in Jerusalem. So in the 10th chapter of Acts, Yahusha had to wait. Kepha! Kepha woke up and he put a sheet with animals on him. Right? Y'all know the vision he had. And he couldn't understand. He told Yahusha, I'm not eating I ain't eating it. He said, I ain't eating no unclean. He said, ain't no unclean meat that's ever come into my body. I ain't starting now. That's what he told Yahusha. So he got up from that vision, and because in that vision he told him to go down to Joppa. And he went into Cornelius' house. And when he preached unto Cornelius and the Ruach fell, then he had an understanding of that vision. If Yah cleans them up, don't you call them unclean. And that was the whole purpose of the vision. Yahusha did not want him to break no diet, start eating swine. See, that's where you get messed up when the wrong people are taking the book and feeding you your book. Oh, now y'all see there now. Y'all know y'all ain't supposed to be eating that stuff, but you see what Kepha's vision was. There were some unclean animals on there, and he says, if I clean them up, don't you call them unclean? But they don't go on and read the rest of that to where Kepha understood what that vision was, because Kepha didn't eat nothing unclean. So that's why we have to be careful. If the wrong person is feeding you and teaching you your book, you're going to be skewed. Kepha had declared how Elohim at the first did visit the Gentiles to take out of them a people for his name. And to this agree, listen to this. This is an important part. And to this agree the words of the prophets. What agreement is this with this? He's getting ready to take. And to this agree the words of the prophets as it is written. So what is he getting ready to break down? What revelation did they have of the prophets? What is he getting ready to break down? What is it about? Huh? And to this agree the words of the prophet. What? How come he said this? What's the subject? What is he talking about? Elohim at the first did visit the Gentiles to do what? And to this agree the words of the prophets. Okay. All right. Right? So, notice who he quotes when Jacob, who is James, the brother of Yahusha, he didn't know it until they had this council and things started to break down. You know how you get those light bulb moments? Oh, and you hit your head. Oh. Man, it's as plain as day. It's right there. It's been sitting right here, and I missed it. Because unless it's revealed, you're not going to see it. And they had a revelation moment. So he says, oh, okay, well, this agrees. Y'all know there was no book of Acts to read. So what were they reading? There was no gospel. There was no Matthew, no Mark, no Luke, no John. Huh? What? I didn't hear you. The scrolls, the Torah, and the prophets. That's all they had was Torah and the prophets. That's why he had this moment. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, this agrees with the words of the prophets. What all this, we didn't know it at the time. In fact, we was trying to prevent it from happening. Even though we had the prophets and we were reading about the prophets and we read the prophets, because see, a lot of times you can read Torah and be prejudiced. What happened? It's always happened. It's happened for a long time. They use your book against you. I mean, do we want to deal with facts and reality, or do we want to live in make-believe? I mean, tell me the truth. You know, I might like it, I might not, but at least tell me the truth. Don't lie to me. Okay, listen to what he says. Listen to what he says. Listen to what Jacob says. James, listen to what Jacob says. After this, I will return and will build again the tabernacle of Daud, which is fallen down. And I will build again the ruins thereof, and I will set it up, that the residue of men might seek after Yahuwah, and all the Gentiles upon whom my name is called, saith Yahuwah, who doeth all these things. Wow. Known unto Elohim are all his works from the beginning of the world. So let's go get this. Okay? Let's go get this. In Amos chapter 9, let's look at verse 10. I think it's 11. Let's see. Yeah, 11. Notice what he says. So this is what Jacob, it hit him. So when Yahuwah spoke through Amos, remember now, these are the words of Yahuwah. right? In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of Daud that is fallen. Is this the same thing? Same thing, right? And close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen which are called by my name, saith Yahuwah that doeth this. So when they were battling back and forth, no, they can't come in there. And then it hit Yaakov, he quotes this. This is the revelation. When you talk about Amos 9 and 11, in the days that they were arguing and battling on whether Gentiles can be saved or not, he had already spoken. Yah had already spoken. The word has gone out of his mouth. It's not returned unto him void. So he says, David's house is ruined. It's fallen, it's ruined. And I'm going to build it back up again. So this is him building up Daud's house. Even from the 15th chapter of Acts, he's building up Daud's house. Okay, let's read this. Let's go to our different versions. Let's look at, there's how many versions, different versions we have up here? Let's start at, okay, let's go to where it says King James right up here. Let's go back, and then I want to see how many different versions I have up here. Click on this right here. How many different versions I have? No, this one right here. No. Yeah, come down. Yeah, just come down. We want to get rid of the bar, the task bar, and go up here. Yeah, right here. Click right over here. Okay, here's a different Bible. Well, okay, yeah. Let's start with the BBE, which is Bible in Basic English. In that day I will put up the tent of Daud, which has come down, and make good its broken places, and I will put up again his damaged walls, building it up as in the past, so that the rest of Edom may be their, what? Heritage, and all the nations who have been named by my name, says Yahuwah, who is doing this. So that's BBE, or Bible in Basic English. Okay, what else do we have? Let's look at the Brenton. Brenton is the Septuagint in English. Brenton is the Septuagint translated in English. In that day I will raise up the tabernacle of Daud that is fallen, and will rebuild the ruins of it, and will set up the parts thereof that have been broken down, and will build it up as in the ancient days, that the remnant of men and all the Gentiles upon whom my name is called may earnestly seek me, saith Yahuwah, who does all these things. Okay, that's the Septuagint. Okay, let's look at the next one. This is the Berean Study Bible, BSB. In that day I will restore the fallen tent of Daud. I will repair its gaps, restore its ruins, and rebuild it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and all the nations that bear my name, declares Yahuwah, who will do this. Notice. Okay, let's look at the ESV, which is the English Standard Version. In that day I will raise up the booth of Daud that is fallen, and repair its breaches, and raise up its ruins and rebuild it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and all the nations who are called by my name, declares Yahuwah who does this. Is there another version up there? Is that the last of them? So, yeah, let's go on back down. King James, the VA, right there, yeah. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of Daud that is fallen and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen which are called by my name, saith Yahuwah that doeth this. So what was he doing? What were they doing in the book of Acts? And why did they go to Amos and pull that up? That's where it came from, right? Huh? I didn't hear that. But so what was going on in the 15th chapter of Acts? Because a lot of times we said that's where they did away with the law, right? The law was no good and all. No, when they was bringing in Gentiles, what are they doing when they're bringing in Gentiles? He's building up the house of Daud. See, this book, the whole book, what we call the Holy Bible, the whole Torah and Tanakh, is an irrevocable land contract that the Most High Yah made with Abraham and his seed. Made with Abraham and his seed. That he was going to give them all this land, and they were going to be a nation, and they were going to have a king. They thought it was King Daud, but our king is Yahusha. So Yasharel is going to be brought back as a nation and given all this land that was promised and setting up their kingdom. Matif Yahu 9 and 6. Matif Yahu 9 and 6. So he's going to set up his kingdom here on earth. Or 6 and 9. I'm sorry. Matif Yahu 6 and 9. After this manner, therefore pray ye, our Abba which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Where? In earth. Because he promised us, he told Abraham, he made a covenant with Abraham. And when he could swear by no better, he swore by himself. And then he confirmed what he swore to Abraham, he confirmed it with Yahusha. So he says, y'all ought to be praying, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. We want his kingdom to be set up here on earth. If you look around, I don't know if anybody's been following current events, but you look around at all these nations and what they're doing. If Yah don't stop them, they're going to blow this whole earth up. We're on the verge of a nuclear holocaust. Russia is doing nuclear training. What do you call those exercises and stuff? They're doing it. If NATO gets in the way, boom, that's it. There they go. It's off. Anybody hear what Lindsey Graham said about Gaza? Anybody hear that? Lindsey Graham, a senator from South Carolina. He said, Israel ought to just nuke Gaza. Just nuke them. That's what he said. These folks got nuclear weapons in the West and in the East. And they're ready to start sending nuclear bombs. If Yah does not step in and stop these folks, we're going to have a nuclear holocaust. Because Yah's kingdom is not set up. Because when Yah's kingdom gets set up, there's going to be 1,000 years of peace. And Yahusha is going to sit on the throne down here on earth. And do you know he's getting rid of a lot of nations? He's going to wipe out nations. He's going to do it. He's going to wipe out nations. I'm getting rid of this nation. I'm getting rid of that nation. The only Gentiles that will be able to survive the judgment of Yah are going to be the ones that he spares, and he's very selective, and he's selecting Gentiles to rebuild the house of Daud. I don't think y'all saw it, but I don't think y'all saw it. Any questions, comments? Huh? What did y'all see what did y'all see in Amos? Let's go back to Amos 9 and 11. That's his kingdom. Yeah, that's what he's going to set up. He promised Daud that his throne was going to be an everlasting throne. But is Daud going to sit on the throne, or is Yahusha going to sit on the throne? Yahusha going to sit on the throne. Because it's even prophesied in Isaiah 53 or Isaiah 9, that his kingdom, there shall be what? No end. No end. It's going to be that's in Isaiah 9. Let's look at Isaiah 9. Isaiah 9 and 6. Let's look at that real quick. We'll come back here. For unto us a child is born, unto us there is going to be a king. He is going to sit on the throne of his son, Daud. Well, no, they said he's the son of Daud. But he's going to sit on the throne. There is going to be a government. You want me to show you that government? Let's look at that government. Micah 4 and 2. Let's look at that government. And many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah and to the house of Elohim of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. So the government, what's going to be in that government? In order to have a government, you can't govern over people unless you have what? Laws. We're in the United States of America. Have y'all seen the U.S. Code? It is huge. I mean, the U.S. Code book is probably several books like this for the U.S. Code. They make laws all the time. We have a branch called, what branch makes laws? The legislative branch. They're making laws all the time. The book is constantly growing. You have people complaining about the law of Yah, but then these people make laws all the time. That's their job. We pay them to legislate. Here, let me give you some money to put more laws on me. I love it. I want more laws. Well, Yah has a law. I don't know no law. It's crazy. When you think about it, it's crazy. It's really crazy when you think about it. Because when he sets up his kingdom, oh, everybody's going to learn the law. Everybody. And those who those who are a part of the new birth and pass judgment is going to reign with him as kings and priests. You got to pass judgment now, because everybody ain't gonna make it. We want everybody to make it. Everybody's not gonna make it. He says only a few gonna find it. So back to Isaiah 9 and 6. So the government is going to be on his shoulders. The government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty Elohim, the Everlasting Abba, the Prince of Peace. That's what they're going to call him. Sitting on the throne. Of the increase of his what? Laws, statutes, and commands. Of the increase of his laws, statutes, and commands, and peace, there's going to be no end. Upon the throne of Daud and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. So it ain't going to be no end. Notice now, he's going to establish it with judgment, because in order to get his kingdom set up here, judgment's coming first. Because he's clearing out, he's getting rid of a lot of folks, and he's going to get rid of nations. But there are Gentiles who've called upon that name. He even told them, Kepha, Shaul, I'm sending you out to get a people of my name. Get some Gentiles of my name. Bring them in. The zeal of Yahuwah of hosts will perform this. If you go through the prophets, there's a lot of nations he judges. He's getting rid of a lot of folks. He's getting around. So let's go back to Amos 9 and 11. So we ain't got no questions, huh? So what does it say? Raise up the tabernacle of Daud that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. Right. Because, see, King Daud ruled over what we call today the northern southern kingdom. He ruled over all of it. So did his son, Shalom. It wasn't until after Shalom died that the kingdom was split. But he's going to build it back. He's going to go back. But when you go back and do a research and study on Daud's kingdom, or when he sat upon the kingdom and he ruled, the house of Judah and Yehuda and all of the tribes, all 12, he ruled the whole house. There was other nations, and even especially in Saloma's time, there was other nations that were tributaries to them. That they served Yasharel. They served Yasharel. So Yahuwah is saying with Amos, he says, I'm bringing that back. I'm going to bring that back. There has to be, so in the day, what in the book of Acts, the 50th chapter, when he understood this prophecy, okay, now I see it. Yeah, he's got to save Gentiles. He's got to save Gentiles and bring them in, because we're going back to the days of old. Just like it says in Daniel, what is he called in Daniel? Ancient of Days. We're going back to ancient times. Oh, no. No.
So he's bringing them, so it's like, they're talking about a foreshadow of bringing them out of bondage, because right now they're in the land of bondage.
Right. They're in captivity in the four corners. So the prophecy, this is just another prophecy like all the other prophecies. Hey, I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing Yasharel. Oh, yeah, they're in captivity, but I'm bringing them all back. And I'm going to rebuild his house again. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to save some Gentiles. So why is he saving Gentiles? Huh? Yeah, yeah. Because there is going to be a great slaughter when it comes to judgment. When Yah judges, there's going to be a great slaughter. He says, if you couldn't run, what was that saying? How are you going to run with the swelling of Jordan? When his judgment starts coming out and he starts getting rid of Nate, who's going to survive? Who's going to survive his judgment?
Only those that call on his name.
Yeah, there will be Gentiles and heathens and stuff that will survive. But even King Daud's house, even Yasharel, there's going to be many Yasharel that, because Zechariah tells us only a third is going to make it through. Yes. Oh, yeah. Right. Right. Those who are Yasharel that kept his commandments, they have a chance. Those who are born again of water, because there's going to be hierarchy with the Most High Yah. There's hierarchy. This whole notion of, poof, we're going to disappear, we're going to be in the Shamaim, and as the angels rejoicing around the throne forever and ever and ever. That's Roman theology. That's what they want. They always wanted to go to the heavens and the God. We're going to be here on earth. We're going to have bodies like the angelic beings, so where we don't have to worry about death anymore. But that's not for everybody. That's for those who have been born again of water and spirit. We have the chance of having that eternal life with him and reign with him as kings and priests. But everybody's not. Everybody's not. He even has 12,000 young boys of each tribe that he's sealing. He's going to seal because they're going to build up again. Every tribe is going to be represented. They're going to be represented. And we're going to have 1,000 years of peace. So when does the city come down from the Shamaim? After the 1,000 years of peace, the new heaven and new earth, after 1,000 years of peace, new heaven, new earth, then there's a new city that comes down. What's around the city? 12 gates. And whose name's on the gates? The 12 tribes of Yah. So every tribe has to be represented. Yes. It's in Revelation. It talks about the 12,000. It's because they have never known a woman. That's in Revelation. Revelation 7. Yeah, that was in the time of Elijah, Aliyah. Okay, so it's in Revelation 14. Um, yeah, verse 3. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. So he's not into homosexuality or lesbian. So if they have not known a women and they're virgins, they're males. No, these men who are sealed, see, Yasharel has to go through judgment. Everybody does. Every nation, he's going to get rid of a lot of nations. Yasharel, like 2/3 of them aren't going to make it. So to preserve the seed, because he promised it unto Abraham, to Yishak and Yaakov, there has to be 12,000, there has to be, I should say, 12 tribes, and they're going to be well populated. So how do you populate? Well, you're a gardenist or agriculturalist. You get the seed and you put it in the ground, and then a harvest comes. So these are young men who he's going to use to raise up the seed of all of these tribes. Well, yeah, he's still he's sealing them now. They're virgins. But the reason why they're virgins, they've never known a woman, but they're not going to remain virgins because he's got to build up the 12 tribes of Yasharel. He's going to build up the 12 tribes of Yasharel. After 1,000 years of peace, because they're going to be populating and refilling the 12 tribes, after 1,000 years of peace, you're going to have that city come down, and you've got 12 gates around the city. So every tribe is going to be represented, and you'll get into the city through that tribe, whatever your tribe is. Well, if in Zechariah, where it says 2/3 are going to perish during judgment time, that means you only have a third. You might not, there might be some tribes that's not represented. That's why he's going to preserve the seed of those different tribes. Because there's going to be 12 healthy tribes represented in the 1,000 years of peace, and also on the new heaven and the new earth, because that seed is not going to end. It's going to keep going on and on and on.
As being the first fruit, that they were redeemed from among men, being the first.
Yeah. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they were without fault before the throne of Elohim. These are young men, you know. So why would he want 144,000 young men that never knew a woman, never had no guile? And Yasharel has gone through judgment and hardly nobody left. So why would you need virgin men? What's the purpose of having virgin men? Because if you keep reading in Revelation and you get to the end there, every tribe is going to be very well represented, because it shows by the gates that surround the city, because you'll enter in through the gates. Enter in through the gates of the city. So you'll enter in through the gates of the city by your tribe. So he's going to build up the tribes again. Any questions or comments out there? Is anybody watching got any questions or comments? If not, I'm glad you guys are asking questions and stuff. I certainly welcome them. Not that I don't have all the answers, but we'll search Torah and we'll come up with them. Torah will give us the answer. But there's a lot of things that are revealed in Torah. Nobody knows it all. There's not a person, not a teacher, preacher, or pastor, whatever. Nobody knows it all. You no Moras, Zakines, they don't know it all. We're all doing our work in the vineyard. Everybody's got to bloom where they're planted, where he plants them, and he gives unto us. He reveals things unto us. We're to teach it. But if Yahusha didn't know the day he's returning, how do you think you're going to know it all? And he's in heaven. He's in the Shamayim. But he don't know the exact day that when Abba says, today's the day. But there's one thing that, I mean, a lot of people are talking about, nuclear holocaust and everything. I don't think Yah's going to let them destroy this. He's going to do it. He's not going to let them do it. He's going to do it. That's why I know it's very close, because these people are talking about dropping nuclear bombs and everything. This thing's about ready to wind up. We're getting very close here. It's coming to an end. It might be at the Feast of Tabernacles. You just don't know. I mean, it's going to happen, because when they talk about nuclear bombs and nuclear holocaust, yeah, we're about ready to finish this up. It's about ready to be finished up. So it's high time that we awake out of our sleep, because the day of our redemption is nearer than when we first believed. And he gave the parable of the fig tree. And one of the things of the fig tree is Yasharel has to wake up. That fig tree starts budding. And you're starting to see it around the nation. And not only around the nation, but around the world. Because the whole world and all these nations have to know who Israel is. That's the part of the gospel. The good news, good tidings, is every nation is going to know who Yasharel is. And you got a lot of nations that's trying to squash it, prevent it. We don't want this to get out. We don't want the world to know who Israel is, especially this nation, because of what they've done to Israel. And they're going to be judged on it. They're going to be judged. Now, some people say that this nation is Mystery Babylon. And so if you read Revelation 17 and 18, you see what happens to Mystery Babylon. It's going to be destroyed in a very short period of time. Yeah. Now, for us, we shouldn't be dismayed, because we know these things are going to happen. I mean, in fact, we're in a place of safety. You get outside of the city of refuge, like Abner, and then you're going to die like a fool. But as long as you're within, refuge in that safe place, all these things, they're going to happen around us. We're going to see them, but we're in a safe place. My point is that it's not far off. It's not far off. Because I just don't think Yah is going to let these people destroy the earth. I think he's going to do it. No, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. So when they're talking about nuclear exercises and nuclear bombs and everything, yeah, it's at the door. It's at the door. Plus, what else? I mean, there's so much of prophecy's been fulfilled. It's time. It's time for Yahusha's return, because I think he's going to return before they start blowing everything up. I do believe. I believe this is Mystery Babylon. I do. And if you still remain in this country, then we'll see. I do believe this is Mystery Babylon, and it's going to be destroyed in short order. But for us, we're going to be out of here. We're going to be out of here. So that day is coming. It is soon. And the sooner we understand Torah and the prophecies, because nothing's going to come back to him void. All the words, everything that he spoke, none of it's going to come back to him void. Okay. No questions or comments. We thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of our Torah study. We welcome you back on Sabbath, from when we have our Sabbath celebration. It's the seventh day. It's the Sabbath feast. something we're supposed to do every day or every week. And we're getting closer to Shavuot, because after that first Sabbath during Pesach and unleavened bread, and the first day of unleavened bread was a Sabbath. So you count 50 days from that, and you got Shavuot, and it's the third month, and so we're into the coming into the third month. No, we'll start the third month. So anything else? If not, we're going to thank you for coming, and we say shalom, shalom unto you. Hallelujah.